Hi, everybody. Hope you all are having a great day or a great night. I've had kind of a hectic, busy first half of my Thursday. But hopefully, now that I'm home and back with my little doggy Shayla, it'll be much, much better. So I'm just watching the Roku channel Naturescape, Stingray Naturescape, and these are called flyovers, this segment. And I think it says there in the corner that this is in Indonesia. So I really like this channel because it is very relaxing. And I need every ounce of calm and peace, each and every day. There's always something, right? But, so I had my appointment with my pulmonologist APN, and she's really cool. And as I was getting out of my door, out of my car, I scraped my front of my right knee on one of the plastic pieces, like where the cup holder is or whatever the heck, and gouged and made like a surface wound. It wasn't bleeding, so it didn't get cut, but it just like scraped the first layer of skin. So, yeah. And it was because I was rushing. And because first, my boyfriend Nathan, said he wanted to go with me to my appointment. He likes to go to all of my appointments with me, and he normally drives, which saves me a lot of, stress and pain in my right leg, So then he was like, oh, I want to go down to the celebration for the President Obama the, the President Barack Obama Foundation Library Center Museum. And they built this huge building that is just amazing. And I can't wait to take a tour and go inside of it and look at all the exhibits and everything. It just looks really cool from what I've seen online and on the local news stations here. And it just looks really cool. And, some people love President Obama. Some people hate him. I, for one, am very, very thankful for President Obama and Joe Biden for getting the Affordable Care Act passed when they did. Because without coverage for pre-existing conditions, I probably wouldn't be here right now, because I was on death's door nail and death's doorstep, whatever the phrase is. I'm kind of tired. But yeah, I had a lot of things going wrong. I was on portable as well as home unit oxygen and a whole other myriad of medical issues. All chronic, of course. So, but I'm doing better these days, and I just, I get kind of emotional when I think back to those days. And yeah, I was in really bad shape, and my cardiologist, who retired last year, he was also the cardiologist for my parents, so he knew the whole family. picture and medical history. Anyway, when I saw him when I was 40, can I remember? I was in my late 40s. He seriously said at one of my office appointments that he wasn't sure if I would make it to see the age of 50. And, he recommended, weight loss surgery, and I, went through all the hoops for that, and I had the gastric sleeve procedure done because I didn't want the whole gastric bypass. And one of the reasons was the absorption of your medications, the pills. It's less effective when you have the complete gastric bypass. So I opted to do the gastric sleeve. I proved myself and lost, a good chunk of my weight, half my weight. Well, not half my weight. What am I saying? No. Back up. Hold the phone. I had to lose 40 to 50 pounds pre-gastric sleeve surgery, and I did that, and then I was okayed to go forward, had the procedure done, and it was a rough recovery. It was right around Christmas time. So my joke is, it was my Christmas present to myself to get my health back on track. And so yeah, I did really well for a while, and I lost a bunch of weight, and then some life stress things happened, and I went back to, bad eating habits again, and I stretched the sleeve a little bit. So, but I don't want to go through another weight loss surgery, so I'm trying to lose it, with the help of Mounjaro, and I'm tolerating it so far. I was on Ozempic for like a year, and it brought down my hemoglobin A1C down to 6 point something, which is excellent. However, it didn't help really with any weight loss. So I was stuck at a plateau for a while. And my cardiologist, like a couple of years ago, had recommended Mounjaro. He said it's a much stronger weight loss medication, and so he said back then, but I didn't want to listen, and so I didn't want to do that. But now I'm on it, and I'm doing really well, and I have shown where I'm losing weight. Each doctor appointment I go to where they weigh me, they didn't weigh me at this pulmonologist appointment, but when I do get my weight taken, there's, steady progress. And so I'm, feeling optimistic, and I have hope. It's going to take a while, but I'm going to, do it, and I'm determined to do it, because the cartilage in my right knee is gone. It's bone on bone, and I was getting cortisone injections every 3 months, and they didn't really help at all. But I was, I was in denial, and I was like, oh, yeah, and they would ask me each time, oh, how long did the cortisone shot last for you? And I would say, oh, about a month and a half, and that was a total lie. They didn't help me at all. All they did was jack up my blood sugar for 72 hours, and which caused me to have to take more fast-acting insulin, as well as my long-sustaining insulin had to be bumped up. And the more insulin you're on, the more the weight stays on. So it's like a catch-22. So anyway, I've been showing progress on the Manjaro. So I'm just going to try to have more vegetables in the house and not as much, snack foods and junk foods and stuff. And I told my boyfriend, I said, please don't bring that stuff into the house. It's like, if you want to eat that stuff, leave it at your condo, and you and your mom can eat that stuff all you want. But I need to not have it around, because if I see it, there's a good chance that I'm going to eat it. So I know myself. But, every once in a while, it's okay to have a little bit of a treat, but just not to overindulge. And where my boyfriend has been making the mistake is he's been like, the food police. And he's like constantly on my case, and, my instinct is to rebel and, eat whatever I want. But I can't do that. But it's like, I love onion rings, especially if they're done right. So having a small order of onion rings, and I don't even finish all of them, And also, it's like, I stop eating when I start to feel full. So what's really bad with our American society is they have all these all-you-can-eat buffets and this, that, and the other. And it's like, no, I can't do that, So I eat a small portion size. I stop eating when I start feeling full. And that's that. And I have to incorporate, one protein and more vegetables, and watch the carbs and starches. There's certain foods that have a lot more carbs and a lot more starches in them, which is not good. And I have to watch my sugar intake and yada, yada, yada. So I've been working with, I went one appointment so far with a nutritionist, a dietitian. And so I'm going to see what I can do in that regard. So, but Shayla is sleeping on the couch. And I don't know if you can hear, but she is snoring periodically here. So, but oh yeah, whenever I have to go to a doctor's appointment or, to the grocery store for just a few things, and I come back home, Shayla acts like I've been gone forever. And boy, does she let me have it. She does one of these, and then she must have been crying and stuff, because each time we leave the house and when we come back, she goes to get a big, long drink of water. So, but, yeah, she has separation anxiety. Part of the reason is when she was, a little tiny puppy, we're talking young, very young. The owner that she had was elderly, and they got sick and ended up in the hospital, and then they ended up not being able to come home. They had to go live in a nursing home, and the person's son was watching them. She had two little dogs, according to the rescue shelter. and she, asked her son to watch her two little dogs, and he did for maybe a couple weeks, but then he was like, I can't take care of these dogs, so then he surrendered them to the shelter. But, apparently he would be gone for long hours at a time because he had a job, and I think he had, a wife and kids and stuff, so he didn't check on the dogs that often, well, puppies. And so I think that's where Shayla's separation anxiety comes from. So, yeah, she's my little baby.